Doing? Good. All right. Pretty badass. This is the first one I've seen under lights and on a stand.
Nice. Well, we're here. I'm Justin. I'm the EVP of Fender Products, and I'm just happy that Duff's here today. We're going to launch his deluxe precision bass special, which is the next evolution of his signature bass that we've had with him for a long time. We're always honored that Duff's been such a great member of the Fender family. And this started a couple years ago. We were just talking and talked about his bass. It's been out in the market for a little while, and we were like, let's just update it a little bit. And so Duff had some ideas, and we kicked it around, and it was pretty awesome. I mean, could you talk about just kind of how you started playing bass, and then the Fender bass specifically?
Sure. How are you guys doing? Everybody good? Are you interested in this bass talk? Yeah. I'll tell some lies and I'll make up a story. No. I started playing bass. I had an older brother, Bruce. He was a left-handed player, and I write left-handed. So I was originally left-handed because he had a left-handed bass and a left-handed guitar at home. He left. He taught me my first, the birthday song, Beatles, which is the major blues scale, basically. And that was all I really had to know. That's enough to get you through a long time. And he left the house, and what did I do? I bought a Gibson EBO bass when I was 13 with paper route money from the Seattle Times. And 125 bucks, I'm sure it was stolen. I got a guitar sometime after that. I was a drummer also at the time. Played somebody else's drum kit, and finally was able to scrape together the money to get a drum kit when I was probably about 17. So I had a bass, I had a guitar, I had a drum kit. Played in a bunch of bands. Came to LA. The decision was made with myself to save up the money and come to LA. And try my hand down here. And my drum kit was a piece of shit, so I sold that in Seattle. I had some money from work that I'd saved up. By this time, the Gibson EBO, I don't know what happened to that bass. I really don't. I've thought about this over the years. I got a Yamaha B something bass. It's more like a Fender shape. And I had as we were talking about, I had a BC Rich, like a double cutaway, Les Paul Jr. type of guitar. Moved down here, I had to pawn my guitar a couple times. Turns out that guitar was stolen from LA 5 years prior to me coming to LA. The cops came to my apartment and took the guitar away. So all I had left was a bass. I had sold my drum kit. My guitar, my 6-string guitar was taken by the LAPD. And I had this Yamaha bass, and that was right about the same time that I had met Slash through an ad in the Recycler, and Izzy had moved across the street from me, and we basically, bass was what I was going to play, whether I liked it or not. That's all I had, and it just, the things lined up for me perfectly that I was going to be a bass player, and that's when Guns started, is when I really started paying attention to bass players. I'd grown up with great music in the Beatles and Sly and the Family Stone, the James Gang, as a kid. And then when punk rock came out, I really leaned toward The Clash, Paul Simonon, that DOA, there was a great band from Vancouver, DOA. Randy Rampage was a big influence on me. R.I.P. R.I.P. There you go. And Motorhead. I mean, at that time in the early 80s, bass players were like the Nicky Six, all that. It was like the feature thing. Magazine, there was this band from the UK called Magazine, and Killing Joke. Yep. And then there was Cameo and Prince, and all of, which I was super into. Punk rock and Cameo and Prince. It all kind of went together. Lakeside, all these great. And I kind of conglomerated all of those influences, those kind of funky stuff, which I use a lighter Tortex pick instead of, I've never been a slapping bass player, but I've kind of made up for it with this light cortex, and I would use a finger, and that the tone you hear on like gun stuff, period, but on Appetite is a mixture. It's like a funk sound, sort of, and I had to find a place to fit between Izzy's thinner guitar, Steven's kick and snare, that heart beat that he would play, and Slash's thicker, kind of all-encompassing guitar, and the vocal, and that's really important. Finding your space as a bass player, as a player, playing anything in any band, if you're a drummer, a guitar player, singer, bass player, finding your space and being comfortable in that space and making that space, owning that space, and not trying to outshine, anybody else in the band, or on the other hand, don't get taken over by a drummer who just wants to play fills on every break. Like you gotta massage all that shit together. That was a lot of information on your whole small question.
So, the Fender bass that you ended up playing all through Appetite and all of that era, that bass came when you guys got signed and you got your advance?
Right. So my introduction into the world of Fender. If you're a bass player, obviously Fender is the bass that all the greats play. That's the one you want to play. I did not have the money to do that. Guns started. I had this Yamaha bass. I had an acoustic 215 cabinet, which I still have. And I some head. We were talking about that earlier. I don't know what my head was, but I had a sound that cut through, I guess. Things happened with Guns. We started playing more and more in LA, attracting bigger and bigger crowds, and we were writing what we thought were great songs for us, and we were writing the songs that became Appetite. And record companies started to come to the gigs, and we got signed. And it did not happen overnight. It was a long process. I'm just shortening the story. My point, we got an advance, like money to get gear and get tattoos and shit. But we rehearsed right behind the Guitar Center on Sunset in Hollywood. And so as a result, you would go around the corner and go into the Guitar Center and see the shit that you couldn't afford, on a weekly basis. And this Fender Jazz Special, Japanese Fender Jazz Special, this beautiful sounding white guitar with a black neck was my dream bass. I would play it. I would be that guy that would go to Guitar Center and play the thing.
Like, he's here again.
He's here again. He's not going to buy shit. But that was like, it was a lot of money. It was like $30,000 for us to split to get gear. And they were not going to cash this check for us. They thought we'd sold the check. And they had to call anyhow. We cashed the check. We got the money, and I went straight to Guitar Center. And there was this guy walking in me. Again, not going to buy shit, but I went in and I bought that bass, and I bought a Galen Kruger head, and I bought some chords, I bought some strings, I bought some shit, and finally, I had my Fender bass.
And that one bass, that was it basically that you went with for a long period of years, right? I mean, that's basically the one. And
what you're saying, so that Fender, Japanese Fender Jazz Special bass that I originally bought was only one I took on the road for the Appetite tour. Mick Bob, who's here with me, he's been my tech. He was the first tech ever of Guns N' Roses. We had 2 techs. He's here. So we've been together about 31 years. He knows my gear way better than me. We had a backup bass for the Appetite tour. We don't really know what it was, right? It could have been the Yamaha that I had. Didn't need it, no. And then at some point we went to get another bass, and we couldn't find another Jazz Special. And we went to Fender, and we got a bass, but the neck was different, and I couldn't play it. So there was a sort of a, as I took it, and this is the story I have. My neck was kind of more egg-shell shaped than semi-round, And so when I went to go play another bass, it just didn't feel the same. And so they they put it up my neck up on a computer. You remember that? And they found that there was they had shaved it a little bit too much on one side. So they designed a neck like my neck, and that became, I got another bass, and I got another, I had like 3 of them, jazz specials, right? At one point, and then the idea was hatched much later to do a jazz special during Velvet Revolver.
Yep.
Do a signature bass, my first signature bass, and you guys must realize, I know I'm talking really fast, but you know, growing up the way I did, and I got to see Led Zeppelin, I got to see the Clash pre-London Calling, I got to see great players and be around great music, and to be a Fender. I'm a Fender artist, I guess, right? Is that what I am? But to flash forward and then have a bass, your own signature bass, on with Fender, which is this, you know, Jamerson and John Paul Jones and everything. To have your own bass with this company, it's super incredible. I don't take it for granted.
But then kind of modernize it and bring some of the other elements in. So before it didn't have a pick guard, it didn't have the block inlays. You see the 12 at the 12th inlay. Still kept the painted.
You see that, Mike's Ahoy? Do you know what that's about? Yeah.
There you go. And added the drop D tuner as well, which we didn't have before, which just is awesome for flexibility, especially these days. So many people go back and forth, so you don't have to keep changing back and forth. And stuck with the white, pearl, and the black, as we have, you know, as we've had in the line. But it's just a kind of nice, kind of subtle evolution. And while we were developing it, we were going back and forth with Mick, Bob, and Duff. And you've been playing these on the road when you guys did your whole South America. You've been playing these for a while.
Yeah, no.